Once you start feeling what it means to have a seedling sprout, and you're like, yowza.
It's the best feeling.
It is such a great feeling.
I'm Dan Souza, and we are in the test kitchen. On every episode, I bring in one of my favorite colleagues to talk shop about America's Test Kitchen, and then we bring in an amazing guest from the food world, the comedy world, and we talk food and spill all the tea about what's happening here in the test kitchen. Today, I am joined by my lovely colleague, Morgan Bolling.
Hey, Dan. Thank you.
Morgan, it's wonderful to have you.
So glad to be here.
Morgan, I just was watching you on TV the other night. So you're on.
Thank you.
You're on multiple TV shows now, and so you're on Cook's Country TV, and you have been for a long time. But this was actually on Amazon Prime. I was watching you on season 2 of America's Test Kitchen: The Next Generation. You were on as a guest judge, and so for everyone who doesn't know, that show is available now on Amazon Prime. It is super fun. It is a competition cooking show in the test kitchen, and we crown a winner who joins the team. So it's like the job interview of a lifetime.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But you were fabulous on it. It was so fun to watch you do it.
Gosh, I mean, it was so much fun. And the episode, you were my co-host or co-judge, and we got to eat a ton of eggs and comfort food. I remember feeling like sick for 3 days after, but it was so delicious, and some of the food was so good. And it was really interesting to see, like, I think people in that episode were talking a lot about their favorite comfort food and where it came from. And there were some really fun stories in there. So
yeah. So there was, at that point, I think we had 10 or 11 contestants.
I think 10 left.
So there's a lot of food to eat. Did you have a favorite dish from the day?
I think the fried fish sandwich we had was so good.
Yeah, I that was such a good dish there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was simple, which a lot of the best comfort food, I think, is. Like, it was a toasted bun with fried cod, like perfectly fried, and then a creamy sauce. And so good.
It's so good. All right, well, so you all have to tune in and check it out. Morgan does a fabulous job. We have amazing contestants, and you got to see that fried fish sandwich, which was really, really good.
Yeah.
So speaking of comfort food, and this time of year, I'm always looking for comfort, but not just like the weekend comfort, like the Sunday gravy and the long bakes and stuff like that, which is wonderful.
It is.
I'm looking for like more comfort during the week, and I struggle. I go into these. Sometimes I question whether I'm in a cooking rut or I just have like my go-to dishes, you know?
The existential crisis. I've been to that existential point.
You have?
Yes.
Where I'm just like, I make it every week because it's like in my rotation, or I'm
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, am I in a big weeknight cooking rut? I just think it's one of the hardest things to find great weeknight recipes. We have a ton of them on the site, on the app, but I'm curious, like, you have such a great palate, and I feel like we share some food loves.
Yeah.
Are there any weeknight meals up on americastestkitchen.com in the ATK app that you're like really jazzed about right now?
Well, this is one that's been my favorite for years. Is we have a Southern style chicken and rice, and it's just so simple. It's like you cook chicken thighs in chicken broth, and then you add onion and rice, and it's just like the kind of thing you want to eat, and like it feels so cozy.
Yeah.
And one thing, I feel like you could get philosophical about chicken and rice because
Let's do it. That's what this podcast is here.
There's so many variations on it because I love arroz con pollo, and then we're working on one now that is like. It has 3 different variations because chicken and rice is so adaptable. So it's got like turmeric and pickled radishes in one version. And then there's a tomatoey one that has a lot of Parmesan. So it's more Italian in flavor profile. But I feel like you can go down a rabbit hole with chicken and rice in a great way.
Yeah. Why do you think it is that chicken and rice is just like, why is that marriage so good?
I think they're both just such good palettes for other things, or like such good, they take other flavors so well.
Yeah.
They're both so simple, but also, I mean, a chicken thigh is one of the best foods. Apart
Agreed.
from behind pork, it's like
Hard agree.
on my list.
Yep.
And then I think white rice is, I mean, brown rice too, but white rice is just so delicious and comforting and simple. And like in the South, I think you're either a grit person or a rice person. I'm a rice person.
You're a rice person. Yep.
But yeah, so I feel like they both just take to flavors really well.
I like that. It's like they can both kind of stand on their own, but they're like they play super well with.
They become better
with everything
together.
Yeah.
Do you have a chicken and rice?
Yeah, actually, we have a new one up on the site, which is like a Peruvian style arroz con pollo, and it's like very, very green. So it's actually perfect because it's green from like a lot of cilantro and a lot of herbs.
It's like bright and fresh.
Yeah, which like it's really nice to have something green. So it's chicken and rice. It's got all that chicken fat in there coating the rice, which is wonderful. But super green and fresh from the cilantro, and it's got some peas mixed in. So yeah, that's a pretty new one that I'm pretty jazzed about.
Yum. That sounds great.
Yeah. Okay. So chicken and rice we got. What about? Give me one more idea for a weeknight so that I can get out of my rut.
Okay, well, this is maybe more telling about who I am, but I love a grilled cheese in every way, shape, and form.
Yes.
And we have one that my coworker just developed that's a jalapeno popper grilled cheese.
What? That's
And
such a good idea.
So good. It's also so simple. It takes like 5 minutes to put together.
Yeah.
And you have like a toasty grilled cheese, but it's up leveled. It's also like, I think I don't have kids, but I feel like if you have kids, they would like it. But
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, maybe if it's like, is it spicy? Some kids can't do spicy.
yeah, maybe this, I don't know. I don't
Maybe
know.
it's for us big kids, Morgan, and
yeah,
that's
it's
okay.
for us big kids,
you know?
exactly. Yeah, no, it's actually pretty spicy, but I'm like, get your kids eating spice.
Oh, that sounds so good to me. Jalapeno poppers are one of those things where it's like, oh, it's an appetizer. Oh, it's like, it should be easy, but they're like kind of a lot of work.
They are.
Right? You're like prepping all these chilies and you're going to get spicy on you, but like,
I think anytime you're doing like something that individual, it takes time.
yeah, but I love this. So this is like just sliced up jalapenos, like fresh jalapenos or pickled?
Pickled, and then you put them in with cream cheese and American cheese and cheddar cheese.
Yeah.
And you can cook 4 at once, so we do it in the oven, like you toast them all on a sheet tray.
Yeah.
It's great.
Okay, I love that. Okay, so we've got our chicken and rice, we've got our grilled cheese. What about a sort of a veg forward?
Okay.
And in this situation, pork doesn't count as a vegetable, Morgan.
Okay. Well, one of the ones I actually love, and it feels very fresh this time of year, is we have this sandwich that's an eggplant sandwich. It's inspired by a restaurant in Brookline called Cuddy's. And so we
yeah.
actually even call it Cuddy's Eggplant Spucky. But it's so good. You cook down the eggplant and you add an olive salad on it, and then you make a really delicious sandwich with that. There's some, I think, mozzarella on there too. And it's just like juicy and rich, and like it feels hearty and substantial, but it also is, a little more veg forward.
Yeah, still wrapped in bread.
Still wrapped in bread.
But,
Yeah, I should probably work on
another
that.
nice sandwich.
Yeah.
No, but I love that sandwich. Cuddy's is like an award-winning sandwich shop here in Boston. Huge cult following, and I love that you guys adapted that recipe.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got our Peruvian chicken and rice, we've got our jalapeno popper grilled cheese, and we've got our eggplant spucky. So you can get all of these recipes on americastestkitchen.com. You can get them in the ATK app. Check them out. I'm definitely going to grab those because I'm going to get out of this rut, and I think a couple good sandwiches.
Yeah.
Probably how I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sandwiches are great all the time.
Sandwiches are great. Well, what is also great is talking to amazing people from the food world. We have someone really special in today that I'm excited to bring on. So our guest today is a pastry chef, a cookbook author, and a teacher at a baking school. She's also a self-proclaimed half-assed homesteader. She lives in Vermont, and her newest book is My Harvest Kitchen. Please welcome to the show, Gesine Bullock-Prado. Gesine, welcome to the Test Kitchen.
Thank you for having me.
It is such a treat to have you here. I feel like we are kindred spirits. You're coming from a baking school up in Vermont, so we're in New England still here, and you're all about education and really like precision with your baking. So it is a melding of the minds, I hope, today.
Absolutely, it is. Yeah.
And this isn't your first time here at the Test Kitchen. You came in, you were on our first season of our Amazon show.
Yeah.
Yep. Did you have a good time doing that?
I had a great time. I think the best time, though, was when you're not filming, being able to skirt around and like peek in the different rooms. And
Yes.
feel like you're being a little like Harriet the Spy, going in like, can I look at all your things?
Did you sneak any snacks while you were doing that?
Oh, I snuck a lot of snacks. Yeah.
Good.
It's good.
Good.
It's good.
Yeah.
I know. I feel like though I'm like I would actually be a little intimidated to bake for you. So I'm curious what you snacked on.
Well, that's too bad, Morgan, because today's challenge is...
Oh gosh.
Dun dun dun.
So before we get into spilling the tea on what you actually like snuck behind the scenes and did, I'm actually going to pour you some tea. So this is something I do on the show. I choose a tea that I think really lines up with my guest in some way.
That's exciting.
I don't always nail it, but I try to. So the tea that I chose today is a choux pu'er.
I love pu'er.
You do? Amazing.
Love
Okay,
pu'er.
wow. We're off to a great start. So choux pu'er is a really unique tea. It is sort of a forced fermented tea. So what they do is they wet the leaves and then pack them really tightly, and they let them sit in a great fermentation environment. So it's warm, it's humid, and fermentation, as we know, and we can dive a lot more into this, creates incredibly complex flavors.
It does, yeah.
And that is the case here. So there's two styles of pu'er. One is this kind of forced fermented where the leaves are wet, and the other is kind of a raw pu'er, which takes a lot longer to develop. So this is going to have some deep intensity to it. But we're so happy to have you here. Let's do a little cheers and
Thank you for having me.
try our tea.
Oh, I get the fermenty flavor.
Isn't that so good?
It's so good.
But it brings it for me. It just brings at the very end that sweetness, that lovely sweetness,
Yeah.
and it's just
Yes.
it's delicate and flavorsome. But there's nothing acidic about it. There's nothing, and there's nothing bitter about it at all.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's very, very round.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people that come to Puerh for the first time, they have one that's maybe a little bit oversteeped or it's not super high quality, and you get these sort of attic-y, dusty sort of qualities
Yeah.
to it. But this one is a really high quality one, and it really just is deep and complex and round and warm in a way that I love. It's very, very special.
Yeah, that's great.
And you are very, very special. The reason I chose this, I chose this for a couple of reasons. One is you are very special. I think there's a lot of technique into this tea, and I think that is reflected in a lot of your work.
Oh, thank you.
And also the fermentation aspect of it. You are a homesteader living in Vermont, doing some amazing things, and so I felt like it connected there as well.
Thank you for that. It's very thoughtful.
Yeah.
It's very tasty.
Good. Well, I'm so glad to have you here. So I want to dive into this homesteading. You made one of the largest geographical moves that you can make.
And geological.
And geological in America. You moved from LA to Vermont, and in LA you were producing in Hollywood, and then you moved to Vermont to a relative. I mean, most of Vermont is pretty rural, but a pretty rural area of Vermont.
Yeah.
And switched gears completely. So from production and being a lawyer to a baking school, baking everything. You have 8 cookbooks.
Yeah.
How did this transpire? And was it like immediately like I made a great decision, or were you like was there some real tough adjustment to be made?
I immediately made a great decision.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I love
But
it.
I also, you have to understand, when I was in LA, I was doing that job, but I was also doing my life. So I was growing and I was doing all the things I do now, just on a much more arid scale and on a smaller scale, simply because I had a day job. But I felt like I kind of, it was like I am bilingual. I felt like my life was bilingual. It was bifurcated, that I had these two very separate lives. I mean, it was LA, so carbs really don't come into the equation much of the time, but they did in my private life and with my friends. But
You were a private carb eater.
private carb eater.
Yeah.
Everyone knew I did. I did not hide it.
This is a dirty little secret.
Yeah, but I'm German and American, and I grew up in Germany and Virginia, and so I went to school at University of Virginia in the Appalachian Mountains, and so they speak to me. So, but the humidity doesn't. So Vermont, just when I first came to Vermont, I'm like, it has a bit of my German, it has a bit of my Virginia, and it has all of me. So, perfect.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was like a bullseye.
I know. I
Yeah,
think it's
it
so
was.
interesting how sometimes those different identities come together in one way.
Yeah.
And how they reflect in food, which is coming through in your book.
Well, and also Vermont is such a place of beer, cheese, and bread, and it's like
The best things.
speaks to me,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and lots of good butter too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see a German being pretty happy in Vermont. That makes a lot of sense to me. Well, and to your point of being so down in like Appalachia and then in Vermont, I do think like country is country is country. Like if you're in a rural area, there's some DNA shared, no matter what, and this sort of individualism and that you're able to like do stuff on your own. And I think the homesteading is sort of part of that.
It is, and Vermont is a little bit Wild Westy, and that you can do many things without any legal restrictions.
Okay. I mean, this is on the record. I'm not
This
sure
is
how
on the
far
record,
you
so
want
I'm
to
not
go.
saying I am a lawyer. The one law that does tickle me though in Vermont is that if you serve apple pie, you are somewhat obligated legally to serve it with either ice cream or cheddar cheese.
Oh my gosh. I love Vermont.
Yeah.
That's in like the bylaws.
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
is. There's a regulation.
There's a
that
regulation.
It is stated. It is on paper.
It is on paper. And of those two, what are you choosing?
I would do both. I mean, both are totally
Both.
acceptable and delicious. Yeah.
At the same time?
I mean, you could totally do them at the same time.
Yeah.
I have baked sharp cheddar into the crust,
Yes.
which is lovely, and it cuts through. And then so if you do have the ice cream, it's almost like you're doing the opposite of what you traditionally do with a dessert, and you're like, you want to cut it through with something acidic and a little more savory, like a gastrique. But in this case, because you've made the pie a little savory, adding that ice cream is just, you're just balancing it. You're being a culinary smart person.
Culinary smart. It's true. It's true.
This is more good stuff.
You're
I will
being
say-
so intelligent.
Yeah, I will say this is something like the cheddar cheese apple pie. I'm from the South, and I had no idea that was a thing until I lived up here. And
Yeah.
now I feel like it makes apple pie.
It's great. Well, if you look at like a cheese board, you often will have the quince, and you will have these sweet and savory pairings.
So
It just
true.
makes sense. Just
Yeah,
makes
that
sense.
they play together. And what's so funny is it actually actually feels like a more of a Southern thing. If you were like down
does.
south, we do like a cheese crust in our pie.
Yeah,
you know?
feels right.
Yeah.
Like Southerners aren't afraid to be like, it tastes really good, we're gonna do it. You
Yeah.
know, versus
Yeah.
normally like New Englanders were like, it's not quite proper. You know? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
the way
We're
it's
like,
done.
add the cheese, add the mayo.
yeah, it's not the way it's done. All right, well, so on the subject of pie, because now we're here, I knew we would get here at some point. I've seen some videos where you talk about you love making rough puff, and you have a great video on your YouTube channel where you talk about using room temperature butter versus cold butter. Love the science of digging into it. But you mentioned that you use your rough puff basically as pie dough as well.
Correct. Yeah.
So why did you choose that over kind of a classic pie pastry?
I think just for butter and for
get
flake.
more butter?
Butter and flake.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that's important is that you get the process down well. Otherwise, it can become very stodgy and tough to get through. But if you have the technique down, it becomes this kind of effervescent, flaky, buttery bomb. And it goes so well with both savory and sweet.
Yeah.
And that's why I love it. So, but I am not, I love all pie crusts. Like I teach classes in both rough puff, and there's some classes that I will do with cream cheese and it's more of a biscuit method rather than a lamination method where you can actually get more form. And in that mean, whenever I teach rough puff, I'm like, if you love a crimped edge, you are out of luck because this is jazz hands. You'll like crimp it and then in the oven it'll go jazz hands.
Yeah.
But if you do want a nice crimping, I have like other options, and I think they're all valid.
Yeah. Jazz hands.
I know.
hands.
There's
love
also
that.
something freeing about that, being like, you know what, I can't control this, but it's going to taste great. Like, I love a rustic.
And not feeling that you need to crimp it, that you can just cut it with that sharp knife and just let it be itself. Let it
Let it
go
jazz
full
hand.
jazz hand so that you can say, look at my beautiful flake.
Yeah. Well, anytime you have those layers, anytime you've successfully laminated something, you got to show that off because that
magic.
is effort, that is time. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So good. But so you don't find that your rough puff makes for ever like a tough pie crust versus
It can if your technique is off.
Okay,
It
gotcha.
can. And it's also just taking the time to make sure you've rested it, you've cooled it, that when you do roll it out, that you roll it out the bottom crust thinly enough that it doesn't become a roadblock. Right? So it can be like, this is too much. But then I also, this past weekend, I teach inverse puff, which is where which is a traditional lamination process, but the butter block is on the outside.
Okay.
Right.
Yep.
So the butter's on the outside and the dough's on the inside. So your lock-in with traditional lamination is the dough encases the butter. In this case, the butter is the outside dough.
Now I've seen this before,
Inverse or inverse puff. Yeah.
but I've never understood necessarily the reason behind it. Like, what are the benefits?
So the benefit is, so if you go, as we all would love to Paris and go to Puerh Tea, and you have his millefeuille. The millefeuille will be made with inverse puff because it is. You know how you said, isn't it hard to get through? It is a shattering experience. So there's nothing stopping your fork from getting all the way through. It may not do as expansive a puff, but the delicacy of it and the shattering crispness and the ease of just getting to it. I think so much for me about desserts and pastry is like getting to it efficiently, effectively, without a lot of work.
Getting it into my mouth.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's the one.
Important.
And that's the one. It's also a technique that is just a pleasure to teach and to do because
Yeah.
I've had people who just will get it. They'll take any class that's available, and they're like, I don't bake, and they get freaked out because they're like, this is a freaky kind of thing to do
Yes,
on the outside.
yeah.
But I'm like, I can teach anybody anything, but it's really fun to watch the success and the resulting. We usually make a pétivier, or in January it would be a galette de roi, the king's cake, and watch them make this thing and just watch it turn into a crown with jazz hands in the oven. It's just so much fun. But it also is so delicate, and it does all the flaking, but with just tenderness and crispness that you can't believe.
That sounds incredible. And so because you have butter on the outside and then you do your folds, are you actually ending up with like, I don't know if you've gotten this geeky and figured out like the number of layers of butter versus dough,
Yeah.
inverse versus regular? And is it substantially different?
Well, it is not based on my two recipes for both. It is when you're doing a lamination, I call it ripping the seams. So whether it is a croissant that's leavened or puff, you literally take a knife and you rip the seams as you're doing the folds to flatten it out. You don't do that with the butter on the outside because you're not worried about the dough encasing, kind of jamming up the works of the layers. There's just a tenderness that can't be beat. The layers, it just depends on what your technique is. And the layer count differs based on what I'm teaching and what the volume is.
Yeah.
So it's,
Well, so we're talking a lot about your school. So I should mention this is Sugar Glider Bakery.
Sugar Glider Kitchen, yeah.
Sugar Glider Kitchen, which is an adorable name. I know you have a lot of animals up there, and I want to talk about the homesteading. Do you have any sugar gliders?
We don't. We thought we had one that broke into the house years ago, and then we realized, that was a flying squirrel.
Yeah.
And then we were like, then we dove into, well, then what's a sugar glider? And it's a marsupial. It loves sugar. It loves sweet things and fruits.
Yeah.
And it can hold all the tools, and it bonds with humans.
And that's why.
And that's what. And then we were trying to think of a name because our pastry shop in Montpelier was called Gesine Confectionery, which is a mouthful. And I was like, let's not do that again. So we wanted something happy, and also, and our logo for Gesine Confectionery was an owl, which was my mother's nickname in Germany was Eule, which is owl. And then she died, and it just got sad. When you start talking about it, we're like, let's just be let's full jazz hands, sugar glider, and it can hold all the things. And it just made us giggle. And we thought, well, if it makes us giggle, it's gonna make other people giggle.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. It's so appealing. And I feel like in Vermont, like so many things are like sugar X because of like maple syrup. It's like a big deal. It's not a scary term like it is for maybe out in LA.
That is correct.
Yeah.
That is correct.
Okay, so I really need you to set the scene for me up in Vermont here because I think we all have images in our mind of what it is, but you've got this whole kind of homestead situation with, I know you have some animals, but can you just kind of lay the scene for me?
Well, I was lucky in that I grew up in the DC area with a German mother who always said, "Don't be normal, don't be normal." And in this suburbia, when no one was doing it, she had a full-scale vegetable garden.
Oh wow!
So I grew up with a woman who found meaning in growing her own vegetables, And once you start feeling what it means to have a seedling sprout, and you're like, yowza.
It's the best feeling.
It is such a great feeling. And then it's like, then you have to and you're like, I don't want to kill it now. And having found this property, which was like, it was an inn built in 1793, where they had farming there, and they made hooch. During the War of 1812, when they couldn't bring liquor in from the UK, they made potato whiskey. They called it whiskey. I'm like, that's vodka. But they were making a killing, but they were growing the potatoes, and they were doing all. So we kind of live in a place that's asking for us to use it as intended. And then we have an ancient old barn. So we started with chickens. I started with a smaller patch, vegetables. We sugar on our ancient maples.
Oh, cool.
And then it just becomes, I think anybody who gardens, a very addictive thing. And then just everything gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and you grow more and more and more and more. And now we have orchards, and I grow currants and black currants and gooseberries because that's a lot of my Germanness coming out. Plums, and I grow Italian plums in Vermont. I do, because it's a very Bavarian thing, Zwetschgendache, so I have my own plums. I have a student who brought me a tree. I was teaching at King Arthur Flower, and she said, I have something in the truck for you. And students are so lovely. They'll bring me things, but usually no bigger than a bread box. And then she went to the back of her truck, and I'm like, ruh-roh. What's happening? And there was a tree, and it was a peach tree, and I'm like, this is amazing, but you know where I live. And she's like, she has an orchard she and her husband have a nursery in Massachusetts, and they're cold hardy. And it is the most magnificent, it's a blaze peach tree that I have to prop up the branches. Even though I do all the right things,
it's
like
so
pulling
heavy
the
with
fruit. It's so heavy with fruit.
Yes,
she gifted me something so magnificent. And so it is a place where I grow and I grow and I grow, and I'm able to share with students and neighbors all these things that we cultivate.
Amazing. What did you bring for us today?
I didn't bring anything.
It all sounds so
I
good.
forgot the maple. I felt like I would be bringing coals to Newcastle.
Back the truck up. Back the truck up.
Yeah, we'll just come visit you. That sounds
Yeah.
great.
Visit. Absolutely, doors are open.
Okay, so I want to bring us down to reality of living in a city a little bit more.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
What about the rest of us? Like, what about me? Like living in like a small I have a small apartment kind of kitchen set up, and I have access to like, probably pretty decent grocery stores around here. But how do you deal with that? And what does the term half-ass homesteading sort of mean in that context? Because you talk about that in your book.
I do, because as perfect as I would like to be in life, there's sometimes, I think all gardeners, unless you are incredibly disciplined, kind of, you forget to label things. Like I once forgot to label something, and I knew just because I am an experienced gardener that it was a nightshade, but I wasn't quite sure. And I'm like, and it didn't bloom. What's happening? This is so strange. There are no tomatoes on there. And I lifted up the plant and I started screaming. And my husband, Ray, was like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I thought they were like just giant grubs. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I planted potatoes.
Oh, poor potatoes.
Yeah, this is the half-assed homesteader
Yeah.
of it all. If you look on Pinterest, people who are dressed to the nines to go into their gardens, I'm like, I'm in my pajamas.
Yeah.
I'm in my pajamas and muck boots watering because don't take my picture. I'm here for the plants.
Yeah.
And perfection isn't the thing. Neither is gatekeeping. So that if you are in an apartment, you can get a cheap grow light and grow things that are meaningful to you. And I think some of the most wonderful things to do in apartment settings are natural perennials that in New England don't act as such out in the garden. So peppers. Peppers are perennials.
Yeah.
So you can have like smaller, very like interesting, like the ají pepper, which is in the Peruvian green sauce, but it's an orange pepper. And I also grow Puerh leaves inside for my Korean Sams.
Oh, I love
So you
it.
can grow these things inside in a smaller medium, and then have access to things that you can't usually get at the grocery store. So if you have access to a farmer's market, there's some things you're like, I can get heirloom tomatoes at the farmer's market.
Right, pretty easy.
But there are some things like specialty peppers and Puerh leaves that grow beautifully indoors and in smaller containers with artificial grow lights.
And would you keep those? Those are both two of my favorite ingredients, and hard to find.
And hard to find.
And hard to find.
Yeah.
Would you grow those the entire year inside,
Yes.
just under grow lights? You wouldn't even bother, like they don't go out on
And
the
I
porch
do.
in the summertime or anything.
I do.
You
They're
do that.
inside- They're inside
Wow.
all year.
Oh, that's really, really smart.
You also need a little cheap paintbrush to do your, because hopefully you don't have bees in your house that
Yeah.
are doing the pollination, so you pollinate yourself. And it's
You
really
get to be
fun.
the- you get to be the bee.
pollinator. You're the pollinator. Yeah.
That's like what they do with like vanilla bean, vanilla growing.
No cross contamination.
Yeah.
You're gonna get the thing.
Okay, so get a little brush, some grow lights.
Yeah.
Your neighbors are gonna look at you funny, but you're gonna get some beautiful ají peppers out of it.
You
Yeah,
are.
it seems worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
The things that bring you joy, and you can grow strawberries in hanging baskets. You can grow determinate tomatoes that will kind of hold their shape and not be so gangly. If you have a little bit of room outside, you can just get a bag of great soil, rip it open, give yourself a little drainage, and you can plant right in there. So you don't have to be precious about what you get, and you don't have to spend a ton of money. You just have to kind of invest in yourself and the joy of doing it, and grow what you love. Don't
Grow what you love.
grow what you love.
Yeah.
Which is it's the coolest, and you'll be more thoughtful about how you eat and keep things. You just are, because if you grew the thing, you get very precious about it, and you'll also eat more veggies. So
It's so true.
Yeah,
You,
I know.
You grow a fair amount,
Oh
right?
yeah, I grow a ton. I mean, I also live in the city, and I just have a little deck. But it was last year. It was like you couldn't walk on it because there were so many little plants. But I agree. Then once I grew kale leaves and I watched them go from like this big to like, I was like, I could never throw away or compost
No.
kale again in my life. Like I will eat this in
Yeah.
some way, shape, or form.
like the woody stem, you can freeze and put in smoothies. Like there's so many things you can do with this stuff, and it's just it's like yes, it's
Yeah,
a
so good.
superpower.
Yeah,
It's-
and
You
yeah,
gotta use it all.
Yeah, no, I have a little baby kumquat tree in my house, and it's
Do
like,
you really?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes,
It's just
and now
like I
you
keep
can,
it inside.
You can get cheap grow lights for trees, because it was in the past it was hard because it was like, especially in New England where the light isn't enough. But I have a Filipino citrus
Oh, calamansi.
calamansi. Thank you.
Oh, I love
I have a
calamansi.
huge one.
I thought
and
about
it-
getting that, but
and it
I have
fruits.
space.
But I have these stakes with grow lights on them that allow me to put this, grow this in my dining room, and I shut the door so it gets very steamy from the radiant heat as well. So it's like it thinks it's in the tropics.
Oh my God, I love
in my
it.
dining room.
I love it.
I want to switch to this really fun segment that we do called the Ror-Snack Test. So instead of showing you ink blots, I'm going to ask you some weird food questions so we can learn a little bit more about you. I promise they're not painful questions.
Okay. Food questions are never painful.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so my first question. So I'm sort of obsessed with so many things about food, but definitely the way we actually consume it, like at the table, and people's kind of idiosyncrasies and how they do it. So I want to talk about corn on the cob, and I'm curious. I'm assuming you get great corn up there.
Yes.
Vermont's a wonderful place for it. How do you physically eat your corn on the cob?
We have my teeth.
With your teeth?
We have my teeth.
So there's a couple different ways. Some people go like across some people go across. when
No,
you're
I
eating.
don't, and I think that is chaotic of me the way I do it.
Oh,
Because I
okay,
think
tell me.
it would be non-chaotic to go across like a typewriter.
Yeah.
I do a rotation.
You rotate.
So I do a full rotation in like an inch around, and then go.
And then go each round.
Yeah.
To me, that is not chaotic. To me, that is perfect. That's how I do it. So that's called a log runner.
Oh, there's a name
So I'm
for
a log
this.
runner.
I've named them all.
Okay.
I've identified six. I've cataloged 6 different styles. When
It's
you think
like
of all of
the
them,
most America's Test Kitchen thing I've ever heard.
I'm a huge nerd. You know. But so what about you, Morgan? How do you do it?
I go like this. Yeah.
Right, so
I do
you're
the
a typewriter.
Yeah.
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 I kind of picture a sugar glider though doing this. So
Yes.
I'm like, I'm like, it kind of makes sense.
I also started the tip because I grow corn, and depending on how well the germination went, the kernels at the very tip often haven't formed. If
Yes.
I didn't, because I hand pollinate because it's a wind pollinated plant. Getting technical, but so sometimes you get the more nibbly kernels. So I want to get the worst first and save the
Get
best
those out
for
of there.
because the ones at the end will always be the most plump. So I'll like I'm like, this was my fault. I didn't do a good enough job. I'm just going to eat them, though.
Oh God! And the self-talk.
Oh my gosh.
No, martyrdom of corn eating.
All right. Well, I think we definitely learned something about you there.
Yes.
You need to be nicer to yourself because growing corn is amazing.
Are you going to add this as another one of your 6, or is it going to be number 7? Like
This is a very specific one. So
guilt-ridden.
you talk about chaotic. There is an anarchist. There's some people. It's I think a loud minority of people that will actually just take bites from all over the cob, and that to me is true chaos.
That is true chaos.
True chaos.
And also, depending on how you butter your corn or whatever, I'm also looking at where things are clinging and what could fall off.
Okay,
Right?
yeah.
So that's kind of how you.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're like, oh, God.
I think that's being generous.
Okay.
I think
It's just
they're
chaotic.
anarchists, but
I know, I'm like, these people,
chaotic.
I don't know who they are.
we have them amongst us. Okay, can you please complete the sentence for me? When life hands you lemons,
Make Cremo.
make what? Oh,
Cremo.
Cremo. Oh, okay, you have to talk about what Cremo is because I think it's an underknown but amazing confection.
So it is Cremo. Doesn't have cream in it, but it means creamy. And the best tarte aux citrons lemon tarts are made with Cremo, not with curd. There is an abundance of butter in it that is emulsified in rather than just whisked as you would with a curd. And what I love about it, especially now with eggs being as expensive as they are, it is one of those products that if you are separating eggs from meringue and you have extra yolks and you can't freeze yolks as you would a white as easily, I make Cremo because it lasts in the freezer for a long time. And lemon Cremo.
Oh, it's freezer safe.
It's freezer safe,
that's
and
very
it is, and you can even make the full tart itself without a topping and freeze that. It's actually good served frozen.
Great answer.
But Cremo has just this beautiful texture, and with the amount of butter in it and just the right amount of sweetness, lemons are the perfect kind of accompaniment because it is creamy and tart and all those things that you want. And it's just kind of that superior lemon vehicle that everyone should have in their life.
That is a fabulous answer.
Yes.
I don't think we have a lemon Cremo on our site, but we have a milk chocolate Cremo that we use to fill a tart that is one of my favorite desserts on the entire
Such a good texture.
on the entire app, americastestkitchen.com.
And it's a good
incredible.
filling. You can eat it on its own. You can entremets are usually where they were first really introduced, and the tarte au citron is like, Pierre Hermes, he's the best. But it is just one of those things that it's just so tasty just to eat with a spoon. You don't have to do anything fancy.
Yeah.
Just eat it.
Just eat it.
And it's not a fancy thing. It's like it's got a fancy name, but like with many French things, it's like, it isn't hard. You can do it.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I like that one. That answers one of my other questions about like just in terms of what appears hard on the outside and is actually really easy. So I think that definitely checks that box. What is the best kind of American fruit pie, and why is it strawberry rhubarb?
Oh, I love strawberry rhubarb. There's so many. It depends on where you are in America. Like, I love a key lime. There was that English show where they had a pie, I think a tart pie competition, and somebody broke out what we would consider the easiest pie in the world to make, key lime pie. I mean, it's stupidly easy.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah.
He won the thing hands down, with everyone being like, oh.
It's so
Every American
good.
who saw it, though, was like, there's no, we all know.
Yeah.
Graham crackers, bump, bump, bump.
Yeah.
You've got sweetened condensed milk. It's just absurd how easy it is. And the guy was shocked that he won because he was
Yeah.
like, but it's a great pie.
It's a great pie.
It's perfect.
It's
yeah.
it's
a
a
great
citrus pie. But, depending on where you are, if you are in Maine, wild blueberry pie is fantastic.
Oh my God. Yeah. I love
I mean, so I have no judgment, only love for all fruit pies. I love fruit pies. But yes,
good.
strawberry rhubarb is the best. Yeah, that is. It is.
it. Nice. We agreed on it. I know you don't. I know
I
you
don't, but that's okay. I support you both.
I'm on a campaign. I'm just.
That's
I
great.
love it.
I'm paid by big strawberry rhubarb, so
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can understand why. Well, Gesine, you have passed the Ror-Snack Test with flying colors. I had no doubts that you would. It's been such a pleasure having you here in the test kitchen. I think we could do this for another hour or so.
A lot of plant questions. But
Yeah. So you can check out Gesine's newest book, My Harvest Kitchen, out in October. Get a copy of it, enjoy the seasons, and do your own half-assed homesteading. You can check out all the recipes we talked about today on americastestkitchen.com or in the ATK app. And we're going to finish this one out with some jazz hands. Let's all do some jazz hands. Yay! We'll see you next time.